Hey everybody, I'm Melissa and my dyad partner is Desiree. And the topic that we picked was trauma in a school shooting. And we did research on this. We included information from all of our weekly readings and our texts. And then some also websites we were able to pull some information. This has been a real hot topic that's in the media nowadays because we've had so many school shootings recently. So our situation is going to be that I'm going to be speaking to the mother. Her name is Kate Smith. Desiree is going to be speaking to the student who is a fifth grader. So she's in middle school. She is 11 years old and her name is Amber. She was in the building, obviously, at the time of the school shooting. And there was another student who was the shooter. So this was not a child that was actually in her classroom, but he came into the class that was next door to Amber. And there were multiple children injured during this time. But there was one teacher who was fatally wounded. And then finally, they were able to disarm the shooter. Although Amber was not in the room with the shooter, she did hear all of the gunshots. She heard a lot of other children screaming and crying. And once the shots started, the teacher that was her teacher, did the whole lock the doors. They barricaded the doors. They turned all the tables in the classroom over on their sides so that they were actually able to block the doorway and block all the windows in the classroom. And this whole entire time, the students had to remain this way. So it was several hours that they were in their classroom, huddled together, being told that they needed to not talk, lay, on the floor. So all of this happened over a decent amount of time until the law enforcement was able actually to come in, clear the scene, make sure that it was only one student who was actually firing the gun in the school. So I did say that they spent a lot of time. They weren't allowed to, speak to each other. And, again, that was for a pretty decent amount of time. So once this all happened, the school set up private and group counseling services across the street from the school. And the services were open to students, parents, and families that had been affected by the school shooting. So that was a decent amount of people that this affected. And all the services were open to parents, family, children, and they were offered a clinical team member to see. So in this situation, the mother set up an appointment time for herself to see me. I'll be speaking to her, and then for her daughter to see Desiree. All of this transpired. They're coming to see us the day after the incident at the school. So I'll begin my presentation talking to the mom. So first, Mrs. Smith, I wanted to tell you how sorry I am that you and your daughter, Amber, have been through this experience. You both have endured this experience, even if it was in different ways, you both have gone through it. The most beautiful thing is that you made this appointment not knowing much about what to expect and how we proceed, and maybe not being too sure about how you would proceed following this. And I want to talk to you about how this shooting and what transpired being trauma can impact you. And at times you might not even know, like it will creep up on you. And there might be feelings or things that might come out of the blue that you might not be able to really connect to what transpired at the school yesterday. So experiencing trauma can come from a lot of different things. And what you see or know can be real and sometimes even perceived. If it's a threat to our safety, we may feel that we're at risk. But when this happens, some people feel helpless, and you might have a lot of fear, especially considering it's your child. So does everything that I'm saying make sense so far? Okay, good. I'm glad. If there's anything that you don't understand, please stop me and ask me, because there's not really any questions that are not appropriate. I want this to be a safe space for you to discuss whatever you're concerned about and what you're feeling, because being able to talk about those feelings is really important. As a parent myself, I can certainly see why you'd be concerned. Not only this event affecting your daughter, but also because you're her mother and you love her very much. So because Amber was in the school, this means that she's experienced a traumatic event. And because you talk to her, care for her as your child, you're actually experiencing something in addition to trauma, which is called secondary trauma. And the secondary trauma is what happens when you listen to Amber talk to you maybe about what she's feeling. You know, if she, once the kids are back in school and she comes home, if she's talking to you about what the other kids are saying or what's happening for her, you may have something called a secondary trauma, and that's just from listening to her. That makes sense. And that's important for us to talk about here too. So because we can't change what has happened, what those experiences are, the more you understand, the more you'll have a better idea of what to look for yourself and for Amber, because we know we're trying to take care of you and her at the same time. So all of those things can still include coming to talk to me, and I'm sure Desiree would love to see Amber if she wants to come back and speak to her. With that being said, even though the school shooting happened, it does not guarantee that Amber's going to react in a negative way to the experience, or even you for that matter. I don't ever see this being a good experience, so it might be unsettling, but it doesn't necessarily equate to it being trauma, since every person is really different. Amber's brain is still functioning. She's in that entering into puberty. So she's really trying to balance like emotional and intellectual maturity. That's all happening at the same time. If our bodies are under stress, there can be changes that actually happen in our brain as a result of trauma. So we might have thoughts we can't control. You might have physical sensations that happen in your body. You know, you might have numbness. You might even be numb to, you know, thoughts, like things that might otherwise you might be happy about, you might not find joy in, and you might, you know, you should be sad and you're not. And that might seem a little unusual to you. You might find that you'd rather not talk to people about things that have happened, and might not even want to be around the school because it can trigger those memories. And that's all okay. That's all okay. The response to trauma can cause the fight or flight to happen. So that's like, if you've ever been driving down the road and you almost get into a car accident, and after you realize that you're safe, how your body feels, that's our limbic system kicking in, and it's one overload. And those feelings, that's when we have that shakiness, you know, our heart races, we can even begin to sweat. And that trauma is stored both in our brain and in our bodies. That's why we have those physical sensations too. So allowing yourself and Amber to express those concerns and feelings is really a good antidote to moving through this experience. Finding calming activities can help you and her feel safe. Coming to talk to me, other parents who've been in the same circumstance is always a good thing to do too. Some other ways that you can move forward with this, I'm going to give you websites, resources, things that you can look at online. Activities that I said, calming activities. So this is where we use adult coloring books. It's okay to color being an adult. I'm all for adult coloring. You can journal, make arts and crafts, meditation, anything to let you know, like, you know, where you're with your daughter and being present and really just trying to be aware of what you're feeling. So all those calming activities help regulate and balance our what's called parasympathetic nervous system. And I give you these big words because you can understand them, whereas Amber might not be able to understand it the way you do being an adult. So when that system's balanced, we feel safe. And when it's unbalanced, we might not feel as safe. That arousal and hyperarousal are all meditated by what we have in our brains and our bodies called our limbic system. So when that threat comes in, or we perceive threat, our brains, the place in our brain called the amygdala turns off. And this is when these symptoms, like all those systems, not symptoms, systems need to be regulated. So I have given you a ton of information today. Really want you to be educated on how this, you know, how the school shooting plays out. And, you know, it is traumatic. Even if you know that Amber is safe now, now for the time being, you might go back and revert back to those feelings. And, it might be something that you're not even, like I said, you might not even be aware of the fact that it's happening, but you definitely can get through this with her. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. You have my number. We are going to be here set up for you to take advantage of our services for some time. So, if this is something that you want to partake in, I would love to see you back. And, but I want to let you know that you're doing the best thing possible. And that's, showing up with Amber and doing what you can to take care of each other. So that's my part.
Okay. So, Melissa spoke to Amber's mom, Miss Smith. I'm going to be talking to Amber, who is 11. So because this happened yesterday, there hasn't been a whole lot of time that's gone by for Amber's mom to kind of tell us what symptoms or behaviors or feelings that she's been having. So what I'm going to talk to Amber about is kind of what to look out for, help her recognize feelings and why she may be feeling this way so that she understands what's going on, and just encouraging her to be open about her feelings and have somebody to talk to about them. So I'm going to now talk with Amber. Hi, Amber. My name is Desiree, and I'm very sorry that we have to meet after such a scary thing that happened at your school. I'm sure you must be feeling a lot of different things after the shooting that happened yesterday. I'm a therapist, just someone that you can come talk to help you understand those feelings and figure out helpful ways to make you feel better. Your mom brought you to meet with me so that we could talk a little bit about how you're feeling and how you might be feeling over the next few days, weeks, and months ahead. Sometimes when scary things happen to us or people we know, we can experience something called trauma. Trauma is something bad that happens that can make us feel sad or scared or angry. The event that happened yesterday at your school is something that can cause this kind of trauma. When we have these big emotions after a scary event, it's hard for us to understand or make sense of what has happened. Our brains sometimes cause us to start acting differently than we usually act to protect us from feeling those big emotions in the same way that we did when the bad thing happened. So I know yesterday was really scary for you. A lot of things happened. So sometimes our brain knows how scary that was for us, and it figures out other ways to help distract us from those thoughts and those feelings. And sometimes those other ways aren't always good for us. Everyone reacts differently to a traumatic event, like the shooting at your school yesterday. But it's important for you to know some things that you should look out for so that you can talk to me or your mom or an adult that you trust about them. Trying to forget about what happened yesterday in school might sound like the best way to deal with it, but I'm going to tell you that is the farthest thing from the truth. It might work for a little bit, but then you can start feeling nervous, having belly aches or headaches or other pain when you're not really sure why or where that pain is coming from. Sometimes you might find yourself being really angry more easily for no reason. Sometimes you have trouble sleeping or trouble concentrating, especially if your mom's trying to tell you something or your teacher. You can also have changes in the way you eat. So sometimes you might just feel more hungry, or sometimes you might not feel hungry at all. It's really important that you talk to your mom or to a trusted adult about how you're feeling and if these things are happening to you. Talking about these things you notice going on in your body will help me and your mom figure out some things we can teach you to do so you don't have those feelings as much. There are so many tools that I can share with you that can help you have less of these negative changes you may experience. And it could be that maybe you're just sad for a while, and that's okay. And then you don't experience these issues that we've talked about, like being angry or sleeplessness or concentration issues or belly aches. Any of these reactions or lack of reactions is normal. What's concerning is for them to go on for a long, long time. Always talk to your mom or me or your teacher about these feelings, or even your friends. You're feeling sad, scared, angry, or confused, that's okay. Talking about this helps you to better understand why you're feeling this way and figure out ways to feel better. So Amber, I'm going to give you my card with my phone number and my email address. If there's anything that you want to talk about or share with me, I would be happy to help you in any way that I can. I'm going to give it to your mom too. Maybe we can check back in with each other in 1 week to see how you're feeling and just check in, okay? If it's okay with you, I will speak with your mom to see when we can meet again. I'm very, very sorry that your school and you experienced such a terrible thing. Just remember to lean on each other, share your feelings, and try to always spread a little love. I will see you next week.